don't think I'm blind to some of it, maybe, but I don't think we overstep the line more than lots of players at lots of other clubs, and I think we get targeted because we are there to be shot at, because we are the champions. The question mark, the problem, goal kicker, probably going to be an issue all year. Morgan Escaré looks to have the gig starting the season off, but when he becomes a question as to whether he's in the team or not, when Sam Tompkins come back and latterly, depending on the form of, say, Lewis Tierney, but when Don Manfredi will then come back for the back end of the season, he might not be a feature. So then we've got question marks over goal kicking. But it's been a question mark ever since the start of the 2014 season. And do you know what Wigan have done ever since the start of the 2014 season? They've been to every single grand final. So it may be an overrated problem to have.
Yeah. This clock's going very slowly, isn't it?
We've spoken about Wigan the least, it seems.
No, it would do, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But we have.
I know we have.
Anyway,
you make very cogent points.
Who do you have as your key man?
I'm split really between Lockers and Tommy Lulawai. These are two tremendously influential rugby players, but to be honest, look down that list and the first 20 players really could be key for this squad in a lot of senses and would be key in a lot of other teams. So I think, as you alluded to, Tommy Lulawai coming back is a great replacement for Matty Smith, and I think an improvement, to be perfectly honest with you, in terms of just the sheer hardness of the man. Diminutive in stature, but he's 9'10" in terms of attitude.
What a shoulder the lad has.
Exactly, he's made from granite, that kid. They make him tough down in New Zealand. I think he'll come in and do a good job. And Lockers, for the 5 or 6 important games he plays all year, and the rest of the time he spends in an iron lung, he delivers for you though, and I think he's a good player. I'm just going to tip Lulawai as my key player. My rising star is a player I'm always excited to watch and always happy to see on the team sheet, and that's young Oliver Gildart. He grew on me like a rash last season. I found him a little smug looking, to be honest. I had a bit of a personal problem with him early days, but the more I sometimes don't like people's faces. There's another one that plays for you's face. I don't like Gregson's face either. But Oliver Gildart won me over very quickly with the style of his play. He's got a step on him that he comes back inside. You think he's going down the touchline, someone will be coming, and he's got that step inside that just sells defenders, and I think he's a tremendously talented young up-and-comer out of a group of continuously tremendously talented young up-and-comers, and it's a conveyor belt at Wigan, as we all know. But Ollie Gildart, for me, is someone I'm looking forward to seeing his star continue to rise in 2017.
With you covering 2 people that are key men, and then with another one who we're not going to talk about much because he's not going to be in the team until April, is Sam Tompkins, then I'm not going to dwell on John Bateman as the key man, even though he's the favourite for the Man of Steel. My key man is George Williams. I think there's a say what that's coming up later that covers this, and I'm not convinced that he might not even be at Wigan in a year, 2 years, 3 years time. But he could become one of the leading stars in the sport over the next few years. Not just in our competition, in the sport. He's made for rugby league. He's made to be a rugby league star. He is... I really think he's that good. He has it all. I'm genuinely fearful that this will be his last year in Cherry and Whites. Let's hope it's a big one. Let's hope he takes a couple of pieces of silverware with him to wherever throws plenty of cash at him if we can't do so.
There you go.
Young player, Oliver Gildart. It's the same as what I was saying about Matt Whitley, really. It's a player who's already shown how good you think he can be, and now it's about taking that next step and maybe getting in a conversation of being a household name and maybe getting an England conversation. He's got tough opposition for that with Mark Percival, who I absolutely love as a centre. But Oliver Gildart to me is a scud.
Yeah, and he's 3 years younger as well. Okay, in terms of where people finish, I've got you top of the pile, remaining top of the pile, cup quarter-finalists, probable grand final winners. But you lose to my Sharks in the World Club Series, so fuck you lot.
No, I think we're gonna focus on that World Club Challenge, but lose a couple of games around that.
Right.
But second in the regular season, but then first after the Super 8, League Leaders Shield winners with that grand final winners. I don't think we're going to win the cup though. Cup quarter final.
So we've gone the same again.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Will you do the honours with the people that got in touch, mate?
Sure, yeah. Andrew Hunt, he said, I think we have a good chance of winning the League Leaders' Shield and one other trophy. A trip back to Wembley would do all Wigan fans good. Paul Marshall said, I think Wigan will repeat their success, led by Tommy Lulai will have better performances. Pete Jackson said, grand final winners again, strong start to the season, mid-season slump and a strong end to the season. Chris McEwen said, to be uninspiring, but win enough to comfortably get to the key games late in the season and we'll win them. Andy Barton said, a solid start, big drop in form, but the Challenge Cup final, form will be back going into the playoffs. Callum says we'll win the grand final. RL latest, Josh says, another grand final appearance and possibly the semi-final of the cup, probably 10 plus injuries too. Willow says, I think Wigan will reach the latter stages of all competitions. I think they'll be strong going forwards and their defence will be one of the top, if not the best in the league. George Williams to come into his own and Powell to push for Man of Steel. Ooh. Gary Ormiston will finish with, he says, hopefully start strong, all dependent on the World Club Challenge game. Will Mr. Wayne have his mind on that when he was on the gantry at Barton Bridge Stadium? Then win-lose, put it to the back of his team's mind, move on and concentrate on finishing top. One word, Widnes. Cost us the top spot last year. Wayne will be telling his players that in a few more choice words.
Fantastic. So that brings us to the end then of our previews for Super League. Let's take a look now at your predictions for the Championship and League One. Okay, so we move into the Championship and League One then, not quite as in-depth as we have been for the first part of the show, but we're still going to cast our eye over the leagues, Mark.
Yeah, so we'll start with sort of the topics we raised at the outset of the show, really, those prediction things. So obviously start with who's going to go up from the qualifiers.
I see Hull KR going up, I see them bouncing back at the expense of Widnes, as I already alluded to. But they're the only ones going up out of the Championship.
What do you particularly like about round out that opinion?
They've kept together the body of a full-time squad. They've brought in some decent players who will do a good job at the Championship, and I think will come in psychologically will come in with a better attitude than Widnes, who've been getting beaten all year. And I think that when you get into £1 million game, that could be a big difference maker. I don't see a lot between the two sides, and in terms of their playing staff. I'm not saying Hull KR would be a better option in Super League than Widnes. I just think that psychologically, when they come through a season of winning pretty much every game they play, or they should be winning every game they play, they'll be in good shape to do that.
I don't think anyone will get promoted. Mm-hmm. My biggest question mark over Hull KR is probably equal to my biggest question mark over Widnes in the halves. I'm not sure how much they're going to get around those areas, and it'll be interesting to see, because you say they'll have like a bit of momentum from winning games all year, but they'll be winning against much weaker opposition generally.
Yeah.
So I think that levels out. Okay, so let's move to who's going to get relegated from the Championship. Who did you tip for relegation? Any clue?
Yes, Swinton and Rochdale.
Do you want to explain?
They're not very good. I prefer Oldham in terms. I think Oldham will be in the conversation, and obviously Bradford are going to be in and around there. Rochdale will perform valiantly as the newly promoted side, but I suspect with the budget that they're operating on, that won't necessarily be enough to save them from relegation. Although I do think they might surprise a few teams on the odd occasion. And Swinton did well to stay up last season, but I think it'll be the second season syndrome for them, and I think they will go back down into League One. I
like the look of Swinton's squad. I don't fear too much for them, although they obviously are in that conversation. I do think Oldham are probably a step behind them this year.
I think I'm biased because I like Scotty Naylor.
Yeah, maybe so. I've gone with Bradford. I just think it's so big a thing to overhaul with a threadbare squad that's going to become makeshift as the year goes along. You're going to have a lot of chopping and changing when you're going to be reliant upon loan deals. And then Rochdale, for the simple reason that I always put the team that's gone up as the favourite to go down, really. And with Toulouse already having been a semi-full-time squad and now being able to progress, I don't have the same concern for them that I have for a part-time team going into another league that has full-time teams around them.
How much credit do you give us in terms of the Tui factor? That's still not sufficient to keep them up.
I've never seen him coach at a level that isn't having world-class players.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
he's got a lot.
And taking over,
he's got a lot of third policy.
Taking over a squad, a regime, a system that was already in place from the person who came before him. The person who came before him has taken other teams to grand finals since. So I don't know.
We shall see how we do. And in terms of promotion out of League One, then.
Well, Toronto, obviously. I'm not. I'm not bucking the trend of our listeners and voters there. And the other one, I went with Whitehaven.
Really?
But the more and more I think about it, the more the first team we're going to get to, who we've had a mention from one of the listeners for from a League One standpoint, is the team that I'm more and more leaning towards. So I'm kind of already wavering on my Whitehaven prediction. But Whitehaven, of the two that went down, for me, are the one that are in a better position as a club. They've solidified, kept hold of some key players, and been making signings of players that have played at a higher level, whereas Workington have not done that.
I think Workington are going to struggle as well. No, I've gone for Toronto and Barrow. Barrow were in the conversation last year, and I think they've improved the squad, particularly with the addition of a young lad called Lewis Charnock, who was at St Helens, came to the Bulls on loan. He's a very talented halfback, and if he can go well for them, he'll go a long way to helping them. And it is a scrap between about 4 different teams, isn't it, for that second place? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
But I think Barrow, out of those other teams, are probably going to be in a stronger position come the end of the year. So Toronto and Barrow going up to the Championship for me.
Well, we start with Barrow in terms of. We're going to go through all the teams that people have sent in reviews of previews for, and we'll just discuss those teams really. So Bobby Kershaw, who's a Barrow Raiders fan, he expects promotion from Barrow. So, and quite a few other people did. They were the second favourites for that category. So you've covered that. I think it's a good chance.
Yeah, no, I agree completely.
Right, we have 4 Bradford Bulls ones, but one of them's you. So
yes.
Go ahead.
And to be fair, I wrote this at a time before Jeff Tuvey and before we even knew we had a club. So I had predicted crushing depression and forcing myself to cheer for a new team. But this came about really just after we'd done. I think you put this up the day after we'd done the Bulls episode, and I was at a real low ebb.
Yeah, about 3 days after. Yeah.
After that, so yeah, I would upgrade my predictions now. I think we'll survive. I think that'll be enough for us this year. Survive and then develop. Alan Cale got in touch now, and thanks again, Alan, for being on the show. He said that he'd love to be able to say, but he has no clue. In the best possible scenario, we blend a team of youth and loanees and win enough games to finish 10th. Worst case scenario, we don't exist and everyone gets 2 points and a bye. So again, you can see when Alan wrote that. Don Barker, he said just outside the relegation zone is where they're going to finish. Paul Hardy, he said to survive in the Championship. So the feeling among Bulls fans is quite good. And actually,
narrow survival.
Actually, the performance of a very, very, very young team without Leon Price, without people like Phil Joseph included as well, put together by all reports a pretty solid, workmanlike, very team-orientated performance.
Now we're relying on that.
I'm excited. I'm excited now, but
the fact that you've got a team,
it means something. It means something for this organisation, not in terms of the result. The result's neither here nor there, but to get a team out on the field, and actually, it's a team of more so than we're used to in recent years. Young Bradford lads playing for a shirt, and that's an exciting thing from my point of view to see that unity, and then, as Alan alluded to, add into that some loanees and some players that we might pick up if two of these connections pay off for us, then I don't think we're making the middle eights. I think we're going to be in the Championship Shield conversation or staving off relegation. But I think that's it's an uphill task, but it's doable for the Bulls this year.
Alan Witt's wearing his Gloucestershire All Golds cap. He said his hope for them is to be the best team in the south of League One, and the League One Cup final place is achievable this season. Beating some northern teams would be nice. Bringing in Anthony Murray on the coaching staff is a great move by the club, with some exciting signings in key areas. It's a big season in what will be a tough League One. Too many players were used last year, so hopefully a more settled squad this year.
Yeah, Anthony Murray is a great addition. He came down from North Wales, didn't he? And he knows this level of rugby league very well. So that can only improve things for what will obviously be a young Gloucestershire team.
And I actually think they were one of the clubs who picked up well from the other southern clubs.
Yeah.
When there was question marks maybe around some areas, they have that thing of the link to the university, and that sort of helps recruit some of these younger players, the ones that are looking at what else they can do in life as well.